Hello friends, our topic today is prophecy. As you know, God has sent thousands of prophets to humanity so far. Today we will talk about the institution of prophecy. Were prophets necessary? What would happen if there were no prophets? What did the prophets bring to the people? We will look for answers to these questions. God is wise. Everything he does has a purpose, a goal. He creates nothing without a purpose. He does nothing without a purpose. In each of his works, sometimes there is one purpose, sometimes hundreds of purposes. We can see this in the universe. We can see that God does wise works everywhere and in everything, from human cells to the working mechanisms of the universe, from the laws of physics to the speeds of the planets and their movements. For example, if you examine a car, you can see the wisdom, that is, the purpose in the car's parts. Each part of the car has a purpose. That part was put into that car for a reason. We human beings also do business by considering the benefit and purpose of every work we do. We avoid the absurd. For example, we do not build a part into the car's engine that does not belong there. Alternatively, we do not put useless, absurd parts in the engine, like chairs, glasses, trash cans, etc., that have no place there. We can even say that the more a work has meaning, the more valuable it is, such as an ordinary car's steering wheel is different from a modern car's steering wheel. While the steering wheel of a cheap car serves only as a steering wheel, the steering wheel of an expensive car has dozens of functions and purposes. While even we human beings avoid useless works and base each of our activities on purpose and use, there can be no purposelessness or uselessness in the works created by God. For example, the creation of the universe, the creation of man, and the sending of prophets have hundreds of purposes and goals. Even the liver, one of the human organs, has hundreds of functions. So let us come to the purpose of sending the prophets, which is what this video is about: wisdom. An excellent phrase. A very meaningful book requires a teacher to teach it. Elsewhere, there is an expression. An unintelligible book without a teacher would be a meaningless piece of paper. For example, suppose a scientist has spent years writing a great book. Why did that scientist write that book? Was it a meaningless piece of paper, and did he write it to make a fire with it? Did he write it as a table leg? Was it written to make tea or coffee on it? Was it necessary to write for such things? If he had written for such things, would it have been necessary to embellish the book and fill it with so many meanings? Let us say the book is very meaningful. Does it burn better if it is a very good book? If he wrote this book, it was obviously not his intention to start a fire with the book. When a book is written, it has a purpose. There is an addressee for every book. The purpose is to convey meaning to the recipient. It is to communicate something to the addressee. The reason for the existence of books is to convey meaning to the addressee. Therefore, without a teacher, an incomprehensible book would be a meaningless piece of paper. It cannot fulfill the purpose of its existence. There is a book there. Writing the book would be useless if there was no teacher or guide to explain the information to the interlocutors and teach them what it means. Therefore, the existence of the book makes no difference to its absence. I have a book, but do not know how to read it. I do not understand your language. Does the existence of the book mean anything to me? If not, it is better. At least, I would say no. Here, the universe is a book. When we see a French or German book, we cannot say that this book is not a book just because the words are different from English. In the same way, we cannot say that this book of the universe, whose words are animals, plants, events, and arts, is not a book. This is because there is a meaning. If something has a meaning, it is a book. Understanding and reading this book of the universe depends on a teacher. The Creator, who made the book of the universe, told and taught the teachers, whom we call prophets, how to read this book. The existence or non-existence of the universe depends on understanding, reading, and comprehending this book of the universe. If these teachers, whom we call prophets, had not explained the book of the universe and told people if they had not taught humanity the meanings expressed in this book, the existence of the universe would have had no value. Human beings would not be able to realize the purpose of their creation. Humans who do not know the purpose of their creation, like an ant hovering over a book, would not know that what they are visiting is a book and would not be aware of the meaning of that book. Like other living beings, humans would travel worldwide, eat, drink, and then die in a corner. That is, the institution of prophecy makes the universe the universe. Let us take another example in this context. If you go to a museum and see historical artifacts from long ago, and the guide does not tell you whom those artifacts belong to and in what years they were used by what states, you will only look at them. For example, they have an ancient sword displayed at the Louvre Museum. If a museum guide tells you something about the nature of that sword, where it was used, who used it, and its overall history, your perspective on it will change. You will give it the importance it deserves. Otherwise, there is a good chance that when you visit the museum, you will dismiss it as an ordinary piece of the sword. Why is this book of the universe filled with beauty, creation, and blessings? Why is there death? Is there a reason why diseases exist? Who are we? From where do we come? What is our destination? What was the purpose of creating these created beings? What are their purposes? The leaders who knew the language of the universe, who we call prophets, explained these meanings to people at the command of God. God decorates perfect works of art on every occasion and presents them to people. He wants to see the works and be seen. The artist wants to see his art himself and show it around. That is why he decorated everything and made it artistic. He created everything, all the blessings, with beauties that attract attention and please people so that people can look at them and read this letter. It is as if the things and creatures are so beautifully dressed, so beautifully portrayed, and created in such beautiful colors and colorful situations that every flower, tree, fruit, and animal appeals to me. It has an appeal. What is it? That is, there is a man who has a will and a power, who wants to show his artistry with these arts, who wants to draw the attention of humanity to his art and make his person known and popular. And he has created the creatures with this aim for this purpose. The guides to convey this purpose are the prophets who know the language of the universe. Imagine entering an exhibition where much amazing art is displayed. The artist has exhibited all kinds of art, but the people who enter the hall are unaware they are entering the exhibition hall. Those who enter the hall are unaware that they are invited to see this art. Those who enter the hall are unaware that these are works of art. Those who enter the hall are not aware of the subtleties of this art. They enter through a door, eat and drink from the delicacies in between, look around, and leave without knowing why they came, what had happened. Both the exhibition and the hall were wasted. The event was a complete waste of time. The universe is this exhibition hall. The works in this hall are creatures created in the universe. The people who enter the exhibition hall are the people who came into this world. People who eat, drink, and walk without knowing the nature of the exhibition hall are wasting this exhibition. God, who is wise in everything he does and creates with hundreds of purposes and ends, does not condemn the entire universe, of which he has not wasted even a small atom, to non-existence, to nothingness, to insignificance and uselessness. Of course, this universe does not waste its exhibition. This exposition awakens the consciousness of the people who come to it by creating guides, who we call prophets, in the exposition to serve its founding purpose. It makes people read the book of the universe. That is why there are prophets. They were sent to people. So we should listen to these guides and teachers and think about what they say.